Does the film Encanto take place in the modern day? Are the Madrigal family cult leaders who are helping Abuela keep generations of villagers in the dark about the outside world? Strap in, everyone, because today we are going to be answering both of these questions in the dark Disney theory, the family Madrigal is a cult. Alright, so you've probably already seen Encanto, and if you haven't, I highly recommend you pause this video first to go watch it. It's honestly one of my favorite projects to come out of Disney in the past few years, and we'll definitely be getting into major spoiler territory going forward. So to start this theory, we need to first set up some basic ground rules about the story of Encanto. The first rule is that we are following the story through the eyes of Mirabel. We then also have to define the second rule of Mirabel likely being an unreliable narrator. Mirabel has grown up in the family Madrigal and has been exposed to stories of her many different family members having magical traits and abilities. I believe that many of these things we see as an audience are Mirabel filling in the gaps with her imagination instead of these magical actions and powers being real. Okay, now that we've established the ground rules, let's break into the theory. So to start off, the time period shown within Encanto makes no sense. We see that in Abuela's flashbacks, we have things like cameras, which based on my research for the country of Colombia, should place us around the 1950s for the flashback. Now we can assume somewhere between 40 to 50 years have passed since the flashbacks, as Abuela's children were infants and are now full-grown adults, with their oldest children being either just under 18 or in their early 20s. This puts us at least in the 2000s, and really that is what matters the most for this theory, as there is something very much missing from the village in Encanto. The thing that is missing is any form of electricity or advancement in technology from the 1950s. I mean, not once do we see any form of machinery or electronics used by anyone in the village. So why is that? Is this village completely kept hidden from the outside world and basically stuck in the same time period? My guess is that exactly, with the village having been shut out by Abuela. There's actually an alternate scene within the movie where Mirabel runs away from the village after the candle is destroyed, and we see her finding a statue of Abuela in a modern-day city. My guess is that Abuela is actually doing the same thing that the elders from the M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village, had done. She is purposely keeping everyone cut off from the rest of society so she can control the entirety of the village and allow her and her family members to have complete control over everyone's lives. Now let's dive into the magic of Encanto. Each of the family members born into the Madrigal family have some sort of magical talent. That is, except for Mirabel, who never received a gift, and Abuela. My theory is that all of the family members' gifts all have real-world explanations, but due to the people of the village being stuck in the past, they have no way to understand these abilities. So let's go one by one through the family and explain their gifts. First we have Julieta, Mirabel's mother, who is claimed to have the ability to cure anyone using only her cooking. What we likely have going on here is Julieta is actually developing medications for people and hiding them within her food. Another potential explanation is the Madrigal family have some connections to the outside world and are capable of getting these medications secretly delivered into the village. Next we have Peppa, Mirabel's aunt, who's claimed to have the gift of her mood affecting the weather. Peppa is likely using modern-day technology to accurately predict the weather and is fooling the townspeople. The study of meteorology has advanced to the point where society can predict weather far in advance, so I doubt there is really anything else going on here. Dolores, Mirabel's cousin, supposedly has enhanced hearing and can hear conversations from across the town. This can easily be explained by modern technology, as Dolores could have listening devices all throughout the town that allow her to spy on others. This also plays into the concept of Abuela wanting complete control over the townspeople, as the ability to hear everyone in town would really only benefit Abuela for spying on others. Camilo, Mirabel's other cousin, is a shapeshifter that can pose as anyone within the village. This is likely just him using costumes, makeup, and acting skills to give off the belief that he is shapeshifting. This is actually somewhat supported by the fact he is able to shapeshift into a distorted version of Bruno during the song We Don't Talk About Bruno, even though Mirabel only ever sees him as a perfect copy any other time. Camilo and Mirabel have never met Bruno, and therefore have no reference to what he would look like. This actually helps to explain why there's inconsistencies with his depiction later on. Luisa, Mirabel's oldest sister, is believed to have super strength. The explanation here being that Louisa is just making use of modern-day advanced machinery, technology, or strength enhancers that could assist her in performing these great feats of strength. Isabella, Mirabel's second oldest sister, is believed to have the ability to create plants at any time. This one can easily be explained with Isabella just having the knowledge of modern-day botany, and likely Isabella's room just being a modern-day greenhouse, allowing her to constantly have flowers on hand. Antonio, Mirabel's youngest cousin, is believed to have the power to communicate with animals. Now this is the easiest to explain, as Antonio is either likely able to easily train animals, or is just claiming to have the power with no one being able to verify. That leaves us with only one family member left, which is Bruno. He is known throughout the village of having the mysterious power of seeing the future, but Bruno is the only member of the Madrigal family we meet that openly questions their own powers in front of Mirabel. Bruno makes himself out to be more like a modern-day psychic, as rather than actually having powers, he is mainly predicting obvious things like a goldfish dying, or the weather moments before it occurs. The other things he predicts which would not be obvious could be explained as confirmation bias by the individuals. Bruno telling a man that he will grow a gut could cause him to subconsciously eat more, thus becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now I know what you're going to tell me, but all of the townspeople see the family members performing these powers, so they have to be real. Well, to that I say the movie actually does a very bad job at proving this point. Let's look back at the beginning of the film. The children Mirabel meets desperately want to know what the powers of the Madrigal family are. Don't you think if you grew up in a town with a magical family that basically solves everyone's problems, that you would just instinctively know all of this information? Or better yet, wouldn't you have seen all these powers actually happening firsthand? These kids aren't that young, and they're out of the house without their parents, so there is no reason that they would not have seen the family performing all of these magical acts before. I believe that the family purposely keep their magic a mystery to a certain degree, so that the villagers rarely ever witness them performing these fantastic feats. And in the event that the villagers actually do see the family performing these abilities firsthand, they are not able to fully grasp what is happening and explain it away as magic, due to having no exposure to technology. So now let's dig into why Mirabel never received a gift. I think this can actually be easily explained if you look at the character of Mirabel. She clearly fully believes in the magic of her family, and for her to receive a gift, Abuela must pull away the curtain and share the truth with her. Another reason is that Mirabel is obviously terrible at keeping secrets, as she is constantly sharing the magic of her family with the members of the village. And as soon as she thinks the magic is in danger, she openly tells everyone. Abuela is deeply concerned with ensuring that the truth of the Madrigal family and the village is never revealed to anyone. We can see this with the two men she allows to marry her daughters. Augustine comes off to me as someone who genuinely believes that everything the family is doing is magical. He's awkward, and due to his accident-prone nature, likely fully believes in Julietta's gift with how often she would need to heal him. Now Mirabel's uncle Felix, on the other hand, comes off much more like someone that Abuela would have trusted with the secret. He is very charismatic, and she likely viewed him as someone the village members could relate to and help keep the truth concealed. Okay, now we've got plenty of background information about the Madrigal family, the village, and the magic within Encanto. All that's left is to show how the Madrigal family shares similarities to real-world cults. The village of Encanto already shares some similarities to cults, as it is this kind of compound that is completely shut off from the outside world. Cults like Heaven's Gate, the Manson family, and the Children of God all maintained compounds that attempted to keep its members cut off from the outside world. The members of the family are basically the equivalent of gods or demigods to the people of the village, as basically all of their needs are solved by the family. Even Louisa, in her song Pressure, directly compares herself to the demigod Hercules. And in many ways, Abuela's story mimics that of Mother Mary, having birthed children with magical powers that can perform miracles. Concept of high-ranking cult members or leaders considering themselves to be gods or have powers is actually a very common practice. A great example of this is the cult Happy Science, whose leader, Ryuho Okowa, who has claimed himself to be the reincarnation of the Buddha. He also claims he can harness positive energy to to prevent things like wars and tragedies in the world. So yeah, the villagers of Encanto are just a bunch of cult members who are essentially worshipping the Madrigal family. Now, how does the overall plot to Encanto fit into all this? I mean, the entire movie is basically about how Mirabel believes the magic of the family is dying, and by the end, she helps her family to save the magic and discovers magic within herself. It's all around a pretty beautiful message about accepting yourself for who you are and finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. Well, after I explain the actual plot to you, you'll see that this is in no way what's happening in Encanto. I believe that the entire plot of the movie is masterminded by two people, Abuela and Bruno. I believe that the true reason that Bruno disappeared from the family was that at first he stopped agreeing with what Abuela was doing and wanted to expose the village to the rest of the world, as his powers made him feel resented by a majority of the village. Rather than let Bruno expose the truth, she instead allowed him to leave the village and experience the real world. This is why Bruno makes reference to a telenovela at one point, even though no technology is ever seen within the village. Bruno has been to the outside world for some time and has experienced all it has to offer. I believe that at some point Bruno was exposed to the cruel nature of the real world and actually started to again agree with Abuela, so he returned to the village but was forced to hide within the house until Abuela deemed it to be the right time. This follows the same themes again as M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. The elders of the village in that movie all abandoned society due to them viewing the world as too cruel. While living in the house in secret, Abuelo and Bruno actually create the prophecy about Mirabel and allow her to find it, as her faith in the family's magic and her own self-confidence have been dwindling. Abuela then allows Mirabel to actually meet with Bruno so that he can teach her how to save the magic. In reality, Bruno is not actually trying to teach her how to save the magic, but is instead planting a seed of doubt in her mind about the truth of the magic. This whole plan goes completely wrong though, when an earthquake destroys the Madrigal house and the candle is destroyed. Mirabel believes this entire situation to be her fault and runs away. Now, like I said before, an alternate version of this portion of the story is her actually going to a modern day city, but let's instead focus on the actual story presented. Mirabel is found by Abuela at the place where Abuelo had been killed, leading the cult's original followers out of their original village. Abuela uses this perfect setting in time to essentially come clean that the magic isn't the powers of the family, but is instead the family themselves. This is basically one big analogy to Mirabel and the viewers that the magic of the family is not real, and instead that it is necessary for the people of the village to believe in the magic and the Madrigal family for the Encanto to continue going. This is once again almost the exact same analogy used within M. Night Shyamalan's The Village by the elders. The elders used the fear of monsters in the woods surrounding their village to ensure that no one would have any reason to leave, and the Madrigal family used magic to keep their villagers content with staying. Both groups, though, realized that for their way of life to continue, they must choose to share the truth with the next generation. With Mirabel fully learning the truth of the situation, she and Bruno are both able to come back to the family. Now, when Mirabel arrives back to the family, they all state that they have lost their gifts, and this actually makes complete sense. They likely kept the technology or supplies needed to create the illusion of their gifts within the house. So with the house being destroyed, they can no longer fool the townspeople, and due to them not knowing that Mirabel has now learned the truth, are still trying to create an explanation for the situation. Luckily for the Madrigal family, the people of the town help them to rebuild their home. Once the home is fully complete, the family gives Mirabel the honor of opening the front door, where Mirabel sees a magical burst of light as the house comes to life once again. When viewing this scene outside of this theory, this is a beautiful scene as Mirabel has come to terms with who she is and is shown that she is just as magical as the rest of her family. But in reality, what we are seeing is Mirabel fully accepting her place within the Madrigal family cult, and helping to lead on another generation of believers in the magic. So that's the end of this theory. This was a ton of fun to make, and I hope it put the entirety of the Encanto film in a different perspective for you. If you have any thoughts about this theory, or ideas for another dark Disney theory, let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as we will definitely be covering more of these theories, iceberg charts, and other content very soon. As always, Thank you for watching, and I am out.